Hey, what's up, guys? JR here. Welcome back to another episode of Motivation with JR. I am so glad you can join us and thank you for tuning in. I just want to remind you to take a minute to just share the link on your social media platform, whichever one you use, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. There are so many of them. Anyways, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Today, we want to talk to you about embracing the discomfort. How to feel comfortable, even though you don't like the situation that you are in. How to feel comfortable in the discomfort. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. So let's get right to it, y'all. Guys, JR here. If you're tuning in today, I just want to talk to you about embracing the discomfort, right? How to feel comfortable in a situation where you're not comfortable or in a challenging situation, right? That reminds me, when I first came to the state or when I first came to this country back in 1995. So I came from Haiti, those of you who don't know. So when I first came, I did not speak any English. There was no English at all. When I came, I went straight to high school. So I used to live in the Bronx, New York. So they had just started a brand new high school. And the interesting thing about this high school was it was just 1 year, just for ninth grade. And it was solely dedicated to immigrants who just came here. So it was basically an ESL school, but it was a high school. So it was for ninth grade. So my parents decided to enroll me into that school so I can learn English. So the challenging thing was because it was a school made of immigrants, right? There were people from all over the world in that school. And unfortunately, I was the only Haitian there. Not just unfortunately for me, but even all of the other students who were there, they were just one of each nationality, or they were one of each country that was represented there. So they did not have another person who spoke the same language as they did in the school. So here we are, it's a school full of immigrants, right? And then we have to live, and we have to find a way to communicate, and we have to coexist and learn. So it was very challenging because even if you were to try and have just a basic conversation with another person, with another student, it was close to impossible because neither of us spoke English. So it was very hard and it was very challenging. So that's a such situation where I had to embrace the discomfort, and I had to find a way to be comfortable and embrace the situation. So the main thing I learned out of that experience is that being in a situation where it's very awkward or there's a lot of discomfort, it actually motivates you and it accelerates the growth process. So here I was, not just me, everybody else were in the same situation, and none of us spoke English, but we had to communicate, and that was the only common language to communicate. So we had to do everything that was possible for us to pull out that little word, or that one word that we learned in the school, or that one word we heard on the bus on the way in, or watching TV, or whatever it was. We had to use that to formulate a sentence in order to communicate, and that's what it was. And by the time that I completed the year in that high school, ninth grade, and I transferred to another high school to go to 10th grade, by the time I got there, my English level was at a point where when I told people that I've only been here for a year, they were so surprised because of how fast, I have grown in English speaking. So it was the same thing for all the other students as well. So being in that position actually forces you to grow a lot faster, forces you to do the necessary research, in order to be successful at what you were doing. So because of that, and I know I had to communicate with my friends friends, and I had to, communicate with the professor or the teacher when I get to school the next day. So when I go home, I would hit the books a lot harder. I would watch, my parents always made sure that we were watching Channel 13. I know you can relate. So if you were watching Channel 13 back in the 90s, leave a comment and tell me about it. So I had to watch Channel 13 and all those shows that was teaching us English and things like that. So that's how I was able to propel myself to go further and go faster and learn English. So it's the same thing for you, whatever situation that you are in right now. If you are at school or at work or in your career line. So I would encourage you to volunteer for a project that is outside of your niche, that is outside of what you're doing, because once you do that, it actually expands your territory, right? It expands your skill sets, it expands your mind, it helps you to grow an area that you did not know you can actually grow in. So that's what it's going to do. It's going to provide an opportunity for you to take yourself to the next level, take your career to the next level. So do not be afraid of stepping out of your comfort zone, right? Do not be afraid of stepping out of your comfort zone. Brian Tracy said, you can only grow if you're willing to feel awkward and uncomfortable when you try something new. So don't be afraid to try something new, but just think of the reward, right? Think of the possibility of all the possibilities that exist when you try something new. So embrace the discomfort, embrace the awkwardness, right? So if you were to think of the year 2020, right? Nobody expected what happened to happen, right? Nobody expected the pandemic to happen, but it was a very uncomfortable situation for all of us. But we had to learn to adapt, and we had to learn to live with what we found ourselves in. And most people thrive, and some people struggled. But at the end of the day, we had to adjust. We had to learn how to be comfortable in a situation that was not really comfortable. It changed everything. It changed the way we live. It changed the way we go to school. It changed the way we go to work. It changed the way we interact with people. There were so many changes, that were uncomfortable for us, but we had to embrace it. And by embracing it, we ended up stepping out of our comfort zone, and we embraced that. And we got us a lot further than we ever thought we would be. So embrace the discomfort. Remind yourself, you got this. Thanks for watching Motivation with JR. I'll see you next time.